in discussing our projects with the consortium consultant, I did come to the conclusion that it's going to be in the county's best interest, and this is my recommendation, it's something that often needs to be talked about, that we would make the Apalachicola Bay Oyster Restoration Project our #1 project. And I say that for a couple of reasons. And one, it's our only statewide project that we have. We had previously talked about having the EOC as our #1 project. But if we're competing with other counties, which we are, the other 23 counties, to be at the top of the list, I felt, based on what the consortiums were saying and my own sort of just feeling, is that the Bay Restoration Project is going to have more visibility and I think a better chance of being ranked higher than a project like the EOC, which just helps Franklin County. I realize that's a big switch in the board's approach to things, and I do it with great deference to the board. Something you all, obviously need to talk about and think about. The consortium won't make this presentation until their meeting in the second half of September. But I do this because I feel like if we don't put a project at the top of the list, which has some statewide significance, then we might easily, because we're a small county, get shoved down to the bottom of that 10 to 15 year payout period with the consortium money. So I was trying to keep us visible in the eyes of the state and in the eyes of the governor by agreeing and recommending to the consortium and to you all that we put the Apalachicola Bay Restoration Project as our #1 project. I do it for another reason. We also have sought money from the Gulf Environmental Benefit Project of $5 million. So our Bay Restoration Project, not only I think it has statewide visibility, we are seeking some coordinated money with that. So it's one of our projects that we are going to try and leverage. And then when the chairman and I met with Sean, I forget his name now, our Triumph, Jason Shove for the Triumph board, he also suggested we put a Oyster Bay Restoration Project in there. So if Triumph is going to have their window for applications in September, and the governor is going to be looking at getting this state expenditure plan in November, the timing is pretty good for us to have make an attempt anyway to get some $15 million for an Oyster Bay Restoration Project. And that $15 million would be $5 million of our restore money, $5 million from the consortium, and $5 million from the Triumph board. So that was how I came to the conclusion that maybe we should rank the Oyster Bay Restoration Project first. There's a second reason, and I say this with some hesitation because I might have misunderstood Cal Knickerbocker. I might have misunderstood what the consortium said. But as I understand it now, the state of Florida has one more reshelling project for the Apalachicola Bay. That's a $4 million project. They're going to start in September. It's strictly a barge shelling project to my understanding. But when that project is done, that's the last oyster shelling project the state of Florida is proposing for the Apalachicola Bay. Well, we have a lot more recovery to be done in that bay. And I hate to have a multi-year gap in the reshelling efforts that we have been going on that I think have been successful. So that's another reason to think that maybe we should put the Apalachicola Bay Oyster Project as our #1 project to try and continue the reshelling efforts that the state has started. Now, again, I could be wrong on what I understood Cal Knickerbocker to say. He told me that was the last project in the queue. I understood that to be the last project the state was going to support. I might be wrong on that because if I am right, that's a big switch in the state's management of the Apalachicola Bay. So I encourage you all to reach out to your constituents and the people you know in the state agencies to find out what is going on with the state of Florida and their management of the Apalachicola Bay. Because if they're not going to find any more money, then it is incumbent upon the county to do all we can to try and keep that shelling program going because that's the essential way of restoring the bay. So that's essentially what item number 2 is about, that I had recommended to the consortium consultants that the county would switch its #1 priority to an Apalachicola Bay Restoration Project for the reasons I just enumerated. And I'll stop now because to let you all think about it and talk about it. It's not a decision you have to make today, but I felt I needed to let you all know what I was confronted with on August 20th and have you all think about it also.
Any comments from the board on that issue?
Yeah, I got a comment. Alan, I guess once they do a project, if you get to the top of the list, that's gonna throw us to the bottom anyway, right? if they pass us.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I only heard part of that statement.
I said, if we get to the top of the list on these projects, and we pick for one, after that done, we automatically go to the bottom then?
No, sir, no, there's no, at this time, we don't have any idea how the governor's gonna rank these things. But, no, so there's a possibility, as slight as it is, that all four of our projects would be in the top, let's say the first 5 years of funding from the consortium. I mean, I don't think that's the case. I think politically, the governor's gonna spread these things around, but I don't have any way of knowing that. But I would say it's likely that we get one in the top part, and then the others filter through. The other thing, though, Commissioner Lockley, is that using the EOC as an example, it's a project we have proposed to spend $1 million on, and a project that we have yet to design. So, in a way, if we had that our number one project, and the consortium gave us $1 million, well, guess what? We don't have a design yet. We don't have the $200,000 that we thought the legislature was going to give us for engineering design that building. So even if we got the EOC funded from the consortium, we couldn't build it right now anyway, because we don't have any plans.
Real quick, Alan, it states in your report here that Mike Soul, the appointee to the consortium board by Governor Scott, also suggested that we need to use some of our money to do a
Yes, absolutely. As I said, and Cheryl can correct me and support me or correct me if I'm wrong in this thing, but the governor has 4 appointments on the consortium board, and Mike Soul is one of them. As far as I'm concerned, Mike Soul is our best ally from the governor's appointees. I mean, as you all may recall, he was the DEP secretary, and he ran the oil recovery deal for the state. And he told me directly, and I think he's probably talked to Commissioner Sanders, that he wants the state expenditure plan to have an oyster restoration project in there. And I mean, he was adamant that it needs to be in there. So I think he will help us push the restoration project to the top of the list or near the top. And I think he's an ally that will help us.
And also, Alan, putting this at the top on our priority for the consortium, it allows us to also use the Triumph Fund and the Gulf Environmental Benefit Fund to add another $10 million to the top of that. So you're actually talking about a $15 million project here, and you're using funds from 3 different pots of money, which would allow us to do a major project over the next several years.
Yes, that's correct. Say Jason Show, Mr. Chairman, he also supports the Appalachian Bay Restoration Project. I'll be honest, when I met with him, and Mr. Chairman, you were there, I was expecting him to say, oh, Oyster Bay Restoration, that's not economic development, that's not high tech, no, Triumph Ford's not going to support those kind of projects. But he in fact said the exact opposite. He thought, because of the number of people involved in the oyster industry, that it would be a good project. So while we haven't designed something, he was supportive of Triumph funding an Appalachian Bay oyster project.
And also, Alan, as I said when I was there with you talking to him, all your counties to the west of us, Escambia, Okaloosa, Walton, Destin, all in there, they all want oysters from Apalachicola Bay to feed their tourists. So I think the other counties and the board members representing those counties would be supportive of us using part of our $15 million allocation, which we're only asking for 5 to help move this project along as it benefits other counties to the west of us. They don't want oysters from Louisiana and Texas. They want Apalachicola Bay oysters for their tourism. So I think it all fits together. And also, real quick, Alan, while we're on this subject, he tells you here that the Triumph board will in August be setting up their application process, and I would like to attend that meeting on behalf of the board to let the Triumph board know there are people here in Franklin County that's interested in the Triumph funds and try to build a relationship with them so that when we apply for funds, they know what we're doing, and I want to be looking at them straight across the desk. So I'd like for the board to make a motion to allow me to travel to Pensacola to attend this meeting as they set up the application process and make sure that our needs are known as a small rural county as opposed to the big counties of Escambia and other counties. We do have needs and we do have money allocated to us, and I want to make sure we get our share.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we send you to Pensacola to speak to the Triumph Board on behalf of Franklin County and pay your travel expenses.
We do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries. So, any other comments on the board as to what we're trying to do? I think Commissioner Sanders here has some comments.
I wanted to get it out before I forget it. Alan, when you spoke with the Department of Agriculture, the representative from the aquaculture side, did it feel like he was alluding to the fact that maybe they were going to put less emphasis on wild oyster bars and put it on aquaculture instead?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a
I hate to
problem.
say this,
That's our
Commissioner, from a
problem.
distance, because I think this is it's a very important point you were asking about. Yes, I think we, I don't know how to say this diplomatically, so I'm just going to say it. I think we're in a little bit of a battle for the future of the Apalachicola Bay. I think the Secretary of Ag, who might very well be running for governor and might very well still have a very, very strong force in the state of Florida in the next near future, he believes aquaculture is the way to go. And we all know that aquaculture has its valid points, but it has some negative points when it comes to the Apalachicola Bay, which has such a large area of natural bars that could produce oysters if the state of Florida helped maintain those things. But he apparently is focused on aquaculture as the future for seafood production, and it's going to be a battle.
And there's a lot of issues there that I won't get into here this morning with the aquaculture. It's fine down there at Alligator Harbor where we have it. I don't think it would be right to come in here amongst the public bars and try to set up leases and grow oysters where you have all your guide fishermen, all your shrimpers, all your crabbers. I mean, there's going to be a lot of human conflict. It works well at the east end of our county. It's not going to work very well down here at the west end and around the river here, where you got all your guide fishermen and everybody else running all over the bay trying to catch fish, trying to catch shrimp, trying to flounder, trying to oyster. I mean, it's just not going to work the way it works at the
And
east end of
Mr.
the county.
Chairman, what concerns me, the reason why I brought it up, I want to let you know, excuse me, was that the Division of Aquaculture has been holding meetings around our area. They held a meeting last week with the City of Key about the aquaculture management plan for that area. They're fixing to hold a meeting, they call it AHAP, Alligator Harbor. I think it's very prudent of this board to send a letter to Department of Ag, Division of Aquaculture, and copy our legislative representatives and also the governor, letting them know that we fully support wild-caught oysters. And that at the same time that we, agree with the aquaculture that's down in Alligator Harbor, that we also know that we have producing oyster bars, and that we support that effort 100%.
I agree.
So I'll make that into a motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders,
Second.
second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries also.
Mr. Chairman, good night.
Yes.
Why they doing all this work, they shelling and everything, but why they won't reseed it? I mean, they got little oysters they can put on there too. I mean, they grow them, they can put them on.
We could, and maybe we should. We can look at that as we develop this $15 million project if everything materializes the way we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's a number of different things. Also, real quick, Alan, the consortium consultants mentioned that they got some suggestions from the Department of Agriculture as to what bars needed to be replenished that have not already been worked on. Mm-hmm. Four of the different bars, some will use large barred shelling, some of them use small barred shelling, and 3 of them use the oysterman to reshell. So those are some of the suggestions that come out of the Department of Agriculture to the consultants of the consortium. So there's a multitude of different ways that you could accomplish what we're moving forward to, and we don't have to discuss all that this morning as we got Alan on the phone, but I'm just letting you know what the Department of Agriculture actually made recommendations to the consortium consultants as to bars that need to be replenished that have not had any work done on them yet. Anything else from you, Alan?
Yeah, just one thing. Let me just go back to the Triumph issue. So, Commissioners, this is my understanding of Triumph is that Franklin County has allocated 5% of the $300 million. That's $15 million. That's allocated to us. I sort of thought initially that $15 million was money that, I would say it's reserved for Franklin County and that we didn't have to fight for it, and so that we would just hold that, on the side, that we would use it when we need to, but we would then go after other money that was not allocated to any county, that our first project would be competitive, that we would try and get more than $15 million. Well, that's not how Triumph Board is going to work it. Now, Jason Schoaf knows this, and he's an ally at this point for us. So what he recommends we do is that we turn in, as soon as we have an opportunity to do this, a list of projects, infrastructure being a majority part of the scope of work that Triumph will do, for more than $15 million. Because he says what they're going to do is they're going to go through, when we submitted $15 million, they're going to use our 15 allocation first. If we submit projects they support, they're going to use basically our money and give it back to us first. So we need to show that we have more than $15 million worth of needs in Franklin County in order to stop all the money from going west. Because I assure you that some of those bigger counties west of us have got major, employment plans in. They're talking about building aircraft facilities and, multi-million-dollar projects. And if we don't show that we have a need for more than our $15 million, we might not get more than our $15 million. So over the next few weeks, and I'll be back at the September meeting, first meeting in September, I hope to provide you all, and I want you all to think about also, obviously, infrastructure things that you think that Triumph would support, so that we can present to the Triumph Board a larger list of projects that we want funded rather than just the $15 million that's already coming to us.
And our board member, Mr. Schoaf, said he would like to see us get more than our $15 million. But until we expend those $15 million, then we're not entitled to any more. But he would fight with us to get to even double that, what we're getting now. So that was very encouraging, as Alan just said, but we need to move forward in presenting some projects and get our share of that $15 million as we move forward. Anything else, Alan?
No, sir, that's it. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, there's one more. I'm sorry, sir. Completely forgot it's not on my written report. Okay, and this is one reason that Pam's standing by. All right, so Pam and I have discussed this, and I don't know if Clay Kennedy is in the audience or Clay Smallwood, but I have discussed this little dilemma with Clay Kennedy also.
Clay Kennedy is here.
Okay. Franklin County has used Pebble Ridge engineers, now known as Dewberry, for years. I mean, they've been successful, been good engineers, competent. I have no objections to, no complaints about the quality of the work. It's all been done to our satisfaction and exceeding it. However, we've had them under contract for so long that we are falling outside the range for what FEMA thinks it's a competitive contract. So, and I told Clay this is probably where we're headed, although I did not have the definitive statement conversation I should have had with him before I'm doing it publicly. But Pam and I have talked last week, and we feel that we need to move forward with advertising for a consulting engineer for hurricane recovery efforts so that we have a current document with current advertising that will be acceptable to FEMA on the reimbursement. And the reason why it's critical now is that we can't yet be starting the recovery for the Alligator Point Road because they haven't put the PW yet. But that PW for designing the Alligator Point recovery could easily be a couple $100,000. And I want to make sure, as well as Pam wants to make sure, that we get that money reimbursed from FEMA. And if we rely upon a 25-year-old agreement with Pebble Ridge to be our engineers, FEMA might not allow that. They might disallow that, saying that that is not competitive enough. So, unfortunately, I feel like we are forced to advertise for engineering services for hurricane recovery, consistent, and Pam was going to look with some of her people to get the language right, to be consistent with the current FEMA regulations so that we don't have any questions that we can utilize and get reimbursed from FEMA for these quite a bit of money on Alligator Point that's going to be coming forth soon.
So you're wanting the board to go out for advertisement for for FEMA?
Yes, an RFQ, request for qualifications, and then we would select the most qualified firm for hurricane recovery, engineering services for hurricane recovery. And again, I'm looking at Pam to provide the exact language, and she's going to get with somebody. But that's Pam and I, and I say that, I hope Pam's there, that's Pam and I's recommendation that we need to do that to protect the board's interest when it comes to getting reimbursed.
So move.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to review that RFQ before it's published, however.
Contingent on the attorney's approval.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanders.
Do you amend your second, Commissioner Jones? Please note, the motion and the second was amended to reflect the attorney's
Yes, sir.
comments. Any further discussion? We've already voted on that, or we need to call a vote? I'm lost here now.
But since you amended, I would vote again.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Okay, Alan, anything else?
That'll do it.
Okay, next on the agenda would be Ms. Sharon Tyler, Red Cross update. Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Good morning. I'm Sharon Tyler, Executive Director for American Red Cross. Thank you so much for giving me the privilege of being here. I actually feel like I need to talk about fish and oysters more than I do Red Cross. I'm native Floridian. My family started in Wakulla County in 1853, and we own Langston Seafood Market up in Tallahassee as I was growing up. And so I've spent a good many years coming down here with my daddy on the seafood truck to get our oysters and get our fish. And so Franklin County, Wakulla County, and Leon County all run deep in my family. And so it's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to be back home. I was away from home for about 39 years and had the privilege of coming back with Red Cross, which is a passion for me. So again, just a little background and thank you for the opportunity. Red Cross has been in the Big Bend area for 100 years this year. We started in 1917. Many of our outlying counties like Franklin County, Gadsden, Wakulla had their own chapters. But for the last 30 years, Franklin County and the Big Bend footprint has been under the capital area chapter's footprint. This year we've added 4 more counties to our east just because our volunteers evidently do such a good job that they thought we could handle 4 more counties. The last couple years have been pretty busy down here. We've assisted about 30 clients. Our biggest thing that we do with disasters, people think hurricanes and think big tornadoes, but it's single family house fires. And so that's one of the things our volunteers come, when the volunteer firefighters or any of the firefighters call us and let us know that there's a family in need, our volunteers will come and work with the family and see that their immediate emergency needs are met. And they do that regardless of what time of night it is or time of day. And after about 36, 48 hours, the volunteers will reach back to the clients and see if there's any gaps in their recovery plans. And when they first meet with them, they'll give them a debit card, and it's preloaded with whatever they determine that the amount is. So for the last 2 years, it's been about $6,000 that we've given back into Franklin County. I'm assuming that they've spent the money back here restocking or staying here or just making sure that their immediate emergency needs are met. For Hermine, we didn't have a lot of activity here in Franklin County because we actually sheltered in Leon and Wakulla County, and many of the residents came. The residents that were in Wakulla County shelters were actually some from Franklin County, the big portion. But as we all know, people around these parts are pretty stubborn and we're pretty independent, and they're going to stay with their home and stay with where they are with their family and try to, as much as possible, be independent and take care of themselves. We did end up working with them and giving some bulk items, gloves, shovels, rakes, more so along Highway 98. You know, there was a lot of damage there, and I'm sure you, like I, drove up and down and saw all of the debris on the side of the road for a long time. But you guys here in Franklin County and Wakulla County did a great job in helping them get the debris picked up. A lot of the damage was in Dixie County as far as the flooding and stuff, so we were really busy over there. We actually had 500 volunteers that were brought in from across the country that helped with the sheltering, that helped with the damage assessment, and with the feeding. We fed in Wakulla County, which we feel like a lot, were Franklin County residents, about 6,000 meals and snacks during the week period that the shelter was open. But we're all about more than just that. We actually we're starting a campaign. The campaign started in 2014. It was called the Home Fire Campaign, and it's a nationwide campaign, and it was to reduce home fire deaths by 25%. And so to date, we've got a documented 258 lives that have been saved by this campaign. The campaign consists of us canvassing neighborhoods, which is a little bit more challenging in our rural areas, but we still try to do it, and installing free smoke alarms. And these smoke alarms are 10-year lithium batteries. And we go over with the family a family safety plan, a fire escape plan. And I won't ask you to raise a hand or anything, but it would be curious to know how many of you actually have your own home fire safety plan, that you've talked with your family. If you've got children, you've worked with your children, you know which doors to escape out of, how long you've got to get out of a burning house, which is less than 2 minutes, and also where you'll meet after the fire. It's things that we all need to do. We all take for granted, just like the hurricane that hit us last year. We were very complacent along the Gulf Coast. Studies had shown that, yes, people thought about it, thought it might happen, but less than 42% of the people were prepared or really worried about it and got their act together, had a plan, had a kit. So we're all about preparedness and really trying to increase that. Come October, the end of October 15th, so from September 23rd to October 15th, we have another campaign that's a nationwide big push it's called Sound the Alarm, Save a Life. And we're going to go install, during that 3-week period, the millionth smoke alarm. So in less than 3 years, we will have installed 1 million smoke alarms across the country. And our goal is to have as many people involved in that campaign as possible installing free smoke alarms. We'll work with Pam. We have a disaster program manager. Her name is Nicole, that is responsible for this county. And so Nicole will be working with Pam to recruit volunteers to help in that effort to go about determining how we can do it. We've also reached out to the schools in order to do pillowcase projects with the kids. It's a 3rd through 5th grade effort, and we've contacted the charter schools here as well as the public school here, which I understand is K through 12, right? Okay. Anyway, in order to go in, and the pillowcase project came out of Hurricane Katrina when many people had to evacuate, and just literally took a pillowcase and stuffed it. And so we thought that would be a great idea, a great learning opportunity for kids to learn what they needed to do in the event of emergency, whether it's a fire, whether it's a hurricane, a tornado, a flood, all the things that we're prone to here. And so we partnered with Disney, and they, for right now, are giving us the pillowcases, and we go in and we work with the kids. We give them color books, help them work through what disasters mean to them, how they could be affected by disasters. And so that'll be going on this fall, and we're hoping to hear back from the school districts and that they would like us to come in and do these presentations. Hopefully many of you know that we actually got started with our service to armed forces and back in the Civil War, and so that's a strong program that is still very active, and we're working with our veterans and to identify our veterans in all of our different counties to see what their needs are and if there are any unmet needs. So I'll take a breath. I want to appreciate you for letting me be here and see if you had any questions for me.
Any comments from the board? No comments for you.
Okay.
We do appreciate you coming this morning and giving us an update on the services provided by the American Red Cross here to the residents of Franklin County. And on behalf of the board, we do appreciate you coming here today.
Well, thank you. I hope you'll see a lot more of us. I'm going to meet with Sheriff Smith here in a few minutes, and he's going to help me figure out how we can get more volunteers here, because we want it to be your Red Cross. We want the volunteers that are here to be Red Cross, and Tallahassee's just a support and a resource. But it's neighbor helping neighbor, and that's really what we want to get back active more. But thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you.